I mean, I've been playing Overwatch since about season 6 of Overwatch 1, and then a really good friend of mine actually is planting an esport well, has planted an esports program at a community college here in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of been working in esports the last few years, and he invited me to come volunteer coach his Overwatch team. And so I did that last year and had some pretty good success with it. So I'm actually
Nice.
going to enter the program and pursue esports as a career option, I think.
Nice. So coaching.
Yes. And
Nice.
maybe some broadcasting. I actually shoutcasted an event last weekend, and I made $1,500 in 3 days. So
Holy crap, dude! What event?
I know it was called the Meet Your Destiny esports event and tournament in Ottumwa, Iowa, where apparently they claim that's where the birth of esports is. Because I don't
Yeah.
know if you've heard of like Walter Day or
No, I haven't.
okay,
I'm a bit
he's
of a
like
scrub when it comes to esports, which is ironic, but it's true. So.
there is some irony in there, but like if you've ever seen the have you seen Wreck-It Ralph?
Yeah.
You know the arcade owner in the ref shirt?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's based off of Walter Day, who like
Oh, okay.
founded all of this esports stuff in Ottumwa, Iowa, of all places.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes
So
sense.
anyway, yeah, there's some interesting stuff there, and it was fun, and
Makes sense. Makes sense.
yeah,
Makes sense. All right. Well, cool. 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 So
yeah,
you got that whole gig, and then now you're thinking about potentially coaching or who knows what involved in the esports scene with that. So I
right,
guess for you the question is like, what are we here today for?
right,
We
exactly. So I mean, I'm 31, and so like I can't my chance of being a professional player at this point, that ship has kind of sailed. However, I've been since okay, Overwatch 1, I was 900. I was low bronze 900 SR, and since then I'm sitting. I've peaked at high plat
uh-huh.
with my main role, and now I'm sitting at about mid plat. I still want to continue getting better as a player because I understand there's a difference between me getting better and teaching others how to get better. But I still
Right.
feel like if I'm teaching myself how to get better, that's only going to kind of add to
Sure.
my toolkit
Sure.
as a coach.
Sure.
I don't want to be like an armchair coach, if that makes
I know
sense.
what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're
Yeah,
saying. I know what you're saying. And it's also fun, so it's like, you can maybe learn something from it or
exactly.
who knows what. Oh, okay, makes sense. Makes sense. So primarily coaching. So today is this going to be coaching the coach or more gameplay stuff or what?
Well, I'm not. I guess I was thinking about that, but I wasn't sure if that's kind of stepping on your toes of to how you work as a
No,
coach. I don't
no,
know if you coach the coach, if that's
no.
something you
I
do.
do. I do. It's not well advertised,
Okay.
but it is something that I do absolutely. If you'd like to do that today, that's totally fine for me.
What would that? I mean, yeah, what would that look like? Actually, I didn't even really
So
think
yeah,
about that.
sure. So obviously, the first thing would be any questions that you may have, structure, training, communication, particular hero, any questions that you come up with in the moment. Roll with that. We can go over examples of where you practice coaching, maybe examples that you may have of you coaching other situations. Talking about philosophy, talking about the training structure that you would be dealing with at the junior college, anything along those lines.
You know, I'm gonna be real. I mostly considered doing gameplay today. I thought a little bit about coaching the
That's
coach,
fine.
but I assumed that that wasn't something you did. So based on what you just told me, I don't know if I
Yep.
have
Sure.
like if I'm
So
like you're
let's
talking about like coaching philosophy and stuff. Like I would need like an intro to that, let alone like asking questions. I haven't even
sure.
really thought about most of what you've
Sure,
said, I
sure,
guess.
sure, sure. So let's put it this way. If you have any questions that come off the top of your head, go with it right now. Well, from there, we'll go into your gameplay thing and maybe some stuff that you need to be doing better. And if anything comes along the way, ask it.
That sounds perfect.
Yeah. And then I think during at least I would like to hope that whenever we talk about what you need to be doing better, that you'll probably pick up some snippets that will help you maybe coach a little bit better as well.
Exactly, and kind of pick up, you've been doing this for a hot minute, maybe I'll
Mhm.
pick up on some, just
Sure.
your style of coaching as well.
Sure, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep going here. So you climbed
Sure.
up from the depths of bronze to around high plat, at least as a peak,
Yep.
and looking to maybe just kind of improve a little bit. Maybe not be a pro player, maybe, but just something a little bit better than where you're at right now. Where would that be rank wise if you were to give yourself a ballpark estimate? Well, okay, let's start with this. Like, How much time are you wanting to put into the game to play yourself on the average day?
That's the question, right? On the average day, well, and see, my schedule fluctuates so much. I would say the average day, I would like to be able to put in at least a couple hours.
Sure, sure. Okay, a couple hours. So I think from there, if we were to set like a ballpark as like let's get you to the diamond and see where we go from there, I think that's a reasonable estimate. Now I will tell you from personal experience that my individual progress and growth as a player was not something that benefited significantly from playtime specifically. So I think getting to like around the diamond level will be, I think, beneficial, and you know, you'll learn a lot from it. But beyond that, I don't think that you would need to be like, you don't have to be grandmaster to coach the game. You know what I'm saying? So maybe diamond as like
Yeah.
a short-term goal, see where we go from there.
Yeah, I agree, and it's kind of one of those things where I've had other coaches assure me, and I'm trying not to get in my head. It's like you don't need to be a top 500 or an owl level player to coach, at least at the level that I'm coaching. Maybe owl's a kind of a different animal, but you know, I don't need to be the best to coach higher level pet players. Is kind of
No, you
the
don't.
message I'm getting.
You don't. It's hard. It's just harder at the start when you're getting in because playing at a high level gives you the ability to understand the game at a high level. So it's at least starts you on the right path. And if you don't have that start, it can be hard. That's the main takeaway. And especially
That's
like
a really good
reputation,
way of putting it.
people don't really know who you are, and therefore, if you're a high ranked player, you at least have like that pedigree that maybe you don't have right now. Okay, so let's look through your form here, and if anything comes up along the way, just holler.
Sure, sure.
Uh, Long-term goals here. Long-term development, an understanding of the game, an advanced understanding of the game, enough to be able to coach top-tier players. Short-term, continue developing a better macro understanding of the game, a better understanding of individual heroes, and perhaps climbing out a plat. Perfect. Now, you have Noah's Ark on your hero pool, at least as the time of you filling out the form yesterday. Okay.
I have what, Noah's Ark?
Yes, Hamster, Ryan, Arissa, May, Bastion, Moira, Kiriko. It's quite the collection. It's a joke. So
Oh.
you don't play any one hero, nor do you play any one role. You play a little bit of everything.
Well, I just put the heroes that I play the most in any given role. I am mostly a tank main. That's
Okay.
my highest rank, and that's what I usually play. But if I'm
Okay.
playing DPS or support, I put the heroes that I would play if I were playing those roles.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And I would recommend you in the meantime for you to stick with that tank manning as much as you possibly can. Not because tank is better than support or DPS, but just because applying yourself to one role and learning how it takes to like, I think that's not only going to help you to improve more rank wise, but I also think that's going to help you to be a better coach because really applying yourself to a role is going to provide you with some knowledge that's going to carry over to other roles. Like you don't want to be a jack of all trades right now. I think applying yourself just a little bit, you might be thinking, well, I need to understand support so I can coach support better. Yes and no. You need to understand the game better, and playing anything to a higher level is going to apply more. Yes, you might not be able to coach on a macro as much as if you'd grinded her or a Moira or whatever, but that's not really the priority. You kind of see what I'm saying?
So maybe it's more of like with as far as my gameplay goes, just concentrate on tank. But when it comes to coaching other players, maybe that's why you post like 7 hour long support vids for me to watch, and
Yes,
then I can communicate that to players. You
exactly,
know?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Because like I've never got the grandmaster on a lot of heroes, and yet some of the heroes that I coach, like for example, I'm trying to think of a good hero. I feel very confident coaching Tracer at a very high level, but Tracer is one of my worst heroes playing, easily one of my worst heroes, like top bottom five, I would say. Um,
Jeez.
so it's just how it goes. That's just how it goes. Make sense?
Yes. Sorry, I was drinking
No
water.
worries, no worries, no worries.
Cool.
Okay. So let's keep going here. So training time right now. So you said you want to devote at least around a couple hours a day. Give me something concrete, I guess. What do you think is going to be like a low ball estimate? Is it going to be 2 hours per day?
When you say per day, is that 7 days a week or is that like 5 days a week?
Well, that I think I mean okay. And factor that in. Is it 5 days a week with 2 hours? Is it 4 days a week with 2 hours? Just you tell me.
I would say I work. Well, I have like three jobs. I I could say 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then probably 4 hours a day, 2 days a week.
Okay, so
So I would say 13 hours a week.
okay. Works for me. Works for me. That's more than enough to get you to the diamond. Consistency is going to be the key. Focus practice is going to be the key. Putting your maximum amount of effort that you possibly can for the first 4 or 5 ranked games. That's going to be the big key. That's not so much about quality or quantity, excuse me. It's more about quality. Okay.
Gotcha.
So do you have, and by the way, this is kind of going back to the role thing right now. I would try to focus more on one role and focus on a couple of heroes within that role. And then if you feel like I want to understand X hero better, to coach X hero better, once you make some significant improvements at a role or a hero, you can feel free to pivot. That was something that I was doing in Overwatch 2, where I would OTP Orisa whenever I play ranked. Didn't play a lot of ranked, but I'd OTP Orisa, or I'd OTP Mei, or I OTP Brig. And I did
What does
that.
OTP mean?
Just one trick pony. What I would
Yeah,
do is,
one trick pony. Gotcha.
yeah, and I wanted to understand the micro of that hero better so that I could coach them better. So I just one tricked them.
Nice.
And I one tricked them for a couple of weeks and just to see how they would play and try different stuff. And I felt like that helped me to understand the hero a little bit better. So if you ever want to, again, from a coaching perspective, wanted to do that, it's going to be all about like where you're devoting your attention to, right? If I had played Orisa, Mei, and Brig at the same time, just played a little bit of each, I don't know that I would have like applied myself to the same level of understanding as I did when I one tricked them.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So, like, if I have, say, a really strong Ana player join the team, then maybe I want to consider spending some time playing Ana to have a better micro understanding of her, as an
Sure,
example.
that would work. That would be helpful.
Okay.
You would pick up some stuff if nothing else.
Gotcha.
Now, how are those hours spent usually?
That's the thing is I struggle getting quality practice.
Why is that?
Maintaining focus, coming up with a plan. Like I know on ball, I know I need to work on staging. My staging is awful, and I know that's really important for a ball player. I kind of loosely work on it throughout a game, and then I forget that I'm working on it, and then I work on it, and then I do a good job on it, and then I do a half-ass job on it. It's not consistent. So
Okay.
that's just kind of an example.
Okay. So you have a hard time like consistently applying yourself in the middle of the match. Have you tried anything to improve at that? Any like strategies to help you remind yourself or keep up the intensity or anything like that, or not really?
Uh, I mean, kind of not really. I just kind of kick myself in the butt every time. I'm like, no, you need to remember, you need to remember, you need to remember, and then it's kind of like I'm bashing myself, and that's not helpful.
Yeah. I would try different strategies. You're maybe a here. Let me just spam me with some ideas. All right. Number 1, getting a tiny bit more sleep. Number 2, taking short breaks between every game, like 60 seconds, 2 minutes. Get up, walk around, remind yourself of your goals, go back in. Number 3, doing the whole post-it note thing on your monitor. Number 4, setting a phone timer that goes off, or some sort of timer that goes off every 10 minutes to remind you of what you need to be working on. And number 5, making sure that you don't have too many goals, or that you're simplifying the goals so much that it's really, really easy to remember in the middle of a match. Any combination of those things, any one of those things may or may not work more for you. Let me actually.
Can you refresh me on what do you mean by the post-it notes?
So just taking a sticky note, writing down what you need to be practicing it, slap it on your monitor or on your desk.
Oh, duh. I knew that. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So sleep, short break between each and every game.
Got it.
And getting up from computer. Post-it note.
Oh, you're writing this. I'm literally writing this down as you're talking about it, but you're so kind to send it to me.
Yeah. I got you. And then. And you don't need to do everything there. What I would say is the biggest contributors to that are the first 3, probably.
I would say I know sleep is super important, but I think I am at a point, and this doesn't happen for me very often, but I am at a point right now where I'm pretty much going to bed when I'm tired, and I'm just waking up naturally when my body's ready to wake up. And so that happens to be at about 7 hours for me.
Sure. So then maybe sleep isn't as much of an issue for you.
Right.
Are you taking short breaks between every ranked game? Like getting up during queue? Okay, right. So then maybe that's something to try.
Yep.
The post-it notes with goals, that's something that you can do, or maybe you don't need to do. I don't know. But I would toy around with those different ideas and see which one of those work. And this is another one of those skills that like does help to be a player, because doing this, you're going to have players that have a hard time applying the feedback that you give them, and you're going to have the experience of having that exact same struggle and figuring out what worked pretty well for you, you know?
Exactly. Yep.
So
Exactly.
there are certain skills that having this experience does really, really help with, and this is one of them for sure. Maybe not so much the micro of Zenyatta, that you can pick that up later. But
Right.
but the struggles of being a player, I think, is
Well,
something
and
that
like
really relates
coaching
to.
at the I'm coaching mostly 18, 19-year-olds. These are people that are still figuring out how to be an adult. So like
Right.
figuring out things like more sleep, take breaks, those
Right.
are super important at this level.
Oh,
So
100%. 100%.
yeah.
100% agreed. Yeah. Okay. So I would work at that. And also, when you are
Yep.
spending that time, is it just ranked when it comes to like 2 hours per day? Do you have a
Um,
warm up? Do you warm
I
up?
I normally do mostly quick play. I struggle with that because I don't want to spend too much time warming up. And there's some times where I just play and I don't feel like I ever really warm up. So then I don't ever play ranked. But yeah, I try to do a quick play or two, and then I hop into rank.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
kind of my warm up.
Yeah, that works fine. That works fine for tank, I think.
Okay.
If you depending on the tank that you're playing, you might be better with a more mechanical warm up. Like I might, as hamster, go in and play like a deathmatch round just because that hero is like super like mechanically involved. If I'm playing like Reinhardt, there's no real reason to go into deathmatch. Um, like
True.
what are you gonna do? Like hit your hammer more? So you probably could just do a quick play game with Ryan. Orisa, I think you could probably get away with a deathmatch with Orisa as well. That might be helpful.
Yeah.
But
Practice cycling cooldowns and landing the javelin.
yeah, exactly. And the gun has a little bit of a feel to it as well. So yeah, that might be good. But yeah, just keeping it short, 10, 15 minutes, and then going in from there. And then obviously, if you need to feel like you need to go a little bit longer, there's nothing wrong with that. If you feel ready after like 5 minutes, there's nothing wrong with calling it early and just jumping into ranked as well. Okay.
Would you say after like a half hour, that's probably too long?
Yeah, almost
Okay.
certainly. Yeah, almost certainly.
Okay.
Yeah. Very
Got it.
rarely do you want to go that long. It's a lot like physical warm-ups, right? If you go so long, it starts to take away some of the energy that you should be having for the actual practice, So what's the
True.
it's a warm-up, it's a tire down. Okay. What do you feel like is holding you back from improving? Failure to break bad habits. We talked a little bit about that with the staging and about
Mhm.
finding ways to kind of remind yourself of what you need to be working about. That's mostly it, I assume. But is there anything else that's worth pointing out there?
Just like my focus. Like I've been playing this game for way too long for my pathing on Reinhardt to be as bad as it is. I don't know why I second guess and do horrible pathing. Even going back in my VODs, I'm like, dude, I'm not a phenomenal Reinhardt player by any means, but I know to go this way instead of that way if X, Y, or Z is going on. And it's like, so I don't know why I'm making like dumb decisions like that, but like
Right.
pathing, staging, I think a lot of it boils down to maintaining focus during game. I don't know.
Okay. 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 Maintaining focus during the game is something that we talked about, but I'm not sure
Right.
what the pathing. If it's from the knowledge is there, but when we get to the gameplay, I'm going to ask some questions that may help with that.
Sure.
Failure to maintain focus, especially while pathing or staging, we've talked about that. That's definitely something that's been coming up a lot. And then bad to horrible aim mechanics. Well,
Yeah.
practice.
Yep.
There's no way about that one. Now, I will say that I don't know that you are a holder of this misconception, but it's worth pointing out that age doesn't have a very strong correlation with mechanics in a negative fashion. So, if don't necessarily feel like, oh, because I'm 31 years old, that my mechanics are just never going to be good. A lot of it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy in my experience, where people feel like they're not going to have good mechanics because they're older, and so therefore they don't really put a lot of effort into it, and then of course they don't have good mechanics. So,
Right.
if you ever wanted to improve your mechanics, ranked, deathmatch, try hard FFA, consistent playtime. There's no shortcuts.
I
Kids are
don't.
just
Yeah, I'm not going to use my age as an excuse to be like not being like I can still get good at the game. All it means is like I think after 28, your reaction time starts going down by
mm-hmm.
like milliseconds or something every year. So like, yeah, I can still play the game and I can still play at a high level, but like I'm never going to be recruited on an owl team at this point. Like that ship has sailed,
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
and that's fine.
Okay. Do you have any other questions before we hop into gameplay?
Um, I did a moment ago, and then I forgot it, so
That's
I
okay.
will remember it in probably 30 seconds.
That's fine. That's fine. And if it doesn't come up, you can just message me anytime. All right. Do you
Okay, cool.
want to take a look at some codes?
Yeah, do you just want me to send it in Disc?
Sure.
Cool.
Works for me.
All right. This is one that I just did. I've got a couple others that I did last night for this.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one that I just did where see well, I guess you said that I should specialize, and these are codes. I was thinking that I want to focus more on breadth. So that's a bit of a paradigm shift for me in the future. So these codes are going to have Hamster, they're going to have Reinhardt, they're going to have Orisa. I think there's even Arya in this one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's anything wrong with how much you're playing with playing a couple of tanks, maybe even 3 tanks tops. It's not necessarily.
Okay.
I just don't. I wouldn't want to necessarily play more than 3, and I also wouldn't necessarily want to be playing a lot of support and DPS either. Even if you're not playing
Okay.
that much of it, just tunnel your focus a little bit.
Gotcha.
You want to focus on ball, Ryan? Sorry, anyone that you want to start with?
We
And,
can
and
yeah,
also,
we can start off with ball.
okay, works for me. Just coach ball a few minutes ago, so perfect time.
Oh, nice.
All right, so I assume that you already have a decent understanding of what you should be doing as ball, correct?
I think so. I think I have a decent understanding.
So then, what we'll do is we'll leverage the gap between what you know and what you do.
Okay.
Good comp to play ball versus.
Right. But then
Nice. It's all good.
so at this point I'm already down 2 teammates.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because I'm just not
No, you're
distracting them enough? Okay.
No, you're doing fine. Your timing was decent enough. Like, obviously, there's not going to be as much follow-up on the high ground, but I don't think what you did was poor. Just stage, do it again. Sigma now is dropped, which opens up this to be even a little bit wider. If anything, now you're a little bit slow. Now that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I will also say that there's really no reason here for you to be preemptively using your shields. I don't think there's anything wrong with using your shields, but it is a longer cooldown, and you could pretty much like guess. I mean, look at what you're engaging on here, right? The Lifeweaver and a Widowmaker. It's not exactly God's gift to ball counters, right?
Right.
You might get sneezed at a little bit here, but at most you're going to take a couple hundred damage at most. So then
I think that's a bad habit that I formed where I just automatically press shields when I'm about to slam.
Yeah. Because sometimes it makes sense. Like, let's go back to, maybe it was this engage. Where I see Cassidy, maybe it's understandable if there's a Cassidy here where you want to preemptively use your shields. It's an extra 100 HP. There's no reason not to, right? But even here, when you use it, does it make a ton of sense because there's only the one person that within your radius. So actually, that's not true. You caught 2. So this one seems okay to me. But then if, like you said, the habit of like, okay, I'm just going to use the shields, even if it doesn't necessarily make sense. Yeah, it's not the best because this is a situation here where you could go in, you should slam, shoot, roll out, set up, engage again. Maybe this time you go in these 2, this is where you want to pop your shields, right? Where you know you're going to be taking, a mother load of damage.
Yeah.
Something to consider because, like right now, for example, you really do want to go.
Right. Yeah.
But we're now expiring on the shields.
This is where I started second guessing myself. Like, this is taking too long. You're
doing fine.
Yeah.
For ball, it's all about like there's ball is one of these cyclical tank heroes, right? Like there's a lot of cyclical tank heroes. Winston, to an extent, Diva, Zarya, things that aren't always going to be providing consistent pressure. You are playing versus a pretty much non-cyclical tank, Sigma. Just constant pressure. But your peaks of value are significantly higher than what Sigma will ever reach, right? So you just need to keep doing what you're doing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I do a roll through here, just to try and bait sleep. Nice. Yeah, I mean this has been mostly fine. I'm moving at a brisk pace because a lot of things that you're doing are good enough for Diamond. So I don't want to sit here and like agonize over details that aren't really big priorities for you. If that makes any sense.
I mean, that's good to know.
Yeah, yeah. The targeting, the timing was okay. Obviously, missing the 180 slam was a bit funny.
Yeah.
Now, what we are going to talk about is stuff like this here. You can't do this in front of Widow and Lightweaver. Sigma's not your priority. What should you do on this engagement?
Get behind the enemy and set up and stage.
Sure. Or if you
Probably
were
take the high ground.
or if you were to engage on anybody at this point in time, who would it be?
The life. I guess the life.
Sure.
Well,
Lifeweaver or Widow, right? I mean, we can make a good argument for both, right? You could roll through the Lifeweaver, set up an off angle outside of Widow LOS, and shooty, right?
Wait, where's their Ana? Where's their Ana?
Their Ana's way out. Ana's way out.
Oh, okay. I thought they were in that room right
that's
there.
why you're that's why you're pushing this, right? So roll through, then maybe go grab Mega. You could also grapple up to the high ground, force out the Widowmaker. This makes 0 sense whatsoever.
Right.
You lose so much HP and you do equivalent, like basically no damage. Obviously, that also, sucky.
Yeah.
This is what you, and this is helpful for you as a coach too, because like whenever you're coaching somebody else, you choose your battles, right? You choose your battles. You choose you focus on the good. Nice job, keep that up. Yeah. And you focus on the bad, right? And then you laugh at the ugly. But for example, this is like the analogy works because this isn't bad. This is just ugly. You messed up. You didn't mean to do that. Okay, GG, go next. Don't worry about it, right?
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that.
Right, exactly.
The mechanical thing.
Right, exactly. But like for example, here, this is good, right? You got backline, you got mines, you timed it really well when their Sigma was also engaged in combat here.
Something I'd like to mention real quick is, and I don't know if you think this matters or not, I think it matters. I'm left-handed, and I play with my hand on the arrow keys, and for me, crouch or slam with ball is numpad delete. And I jump with numpad 0. And some people have told me that that's absolutely, like, objectively bad, but that's how I've literally always jumped or crouched in every video game.
Wait, why would they say it's objectively bad? I'm trying to picture this in my brain here. So
because I'm using my pinky, which I guess your pinky is, like, bad for, like, stretching out. Like, you have less mechanical control over your pinky than you do your other three fingers. So what
do you do with your thumb? Your right hand thumb.
My thumb is only there for control. Or sometimes I use it for my left arrow if my other fingers are busy, because I also use the not function keys but like insert, home, delete, page up, page down. Keys above the arrow keys. Those are hotkeys for me as well. Same thing with all my numpad keys. Like those are my emotes. And
so you go 0 delete for what again?
0 is jump, and then delete would be crouch or slam on ball.
No, I don't have a problem with that because I do the opposite, right? I'm doing C and space for crouch and jump. So it's two buttons with my thumb, right? And then my pinky controls my shift and control, and your pinky controls shift and control as well, I assume? Or your thumb controls?
My thumb does control, and actually my index finger would do shift, and then my middle finger would come over and do the left arrow key.
Yeah, that's the only bad thing that I could say about the left-handed thing is that it limits what your thumb can do, because it's easier for because WASD pulls my hand up higher on the keyboard. You kind of see what I'm saying? Yeah. It gives my thumb options to press 2 keys comfortably, whereas with you can only press 1 key with your thumb comfortably.
Yep.
That would be the main drawback that I would see if you were ever to try to transition to like a left-handed keyboard. I don't even know is that a thing? That's not a thing, is it? There's no way.
I don't think it's a thing, no.
Crud. There has to be an option out there somewhere. I would look into it if you really wanted to, because that's the main takeaway here. Your pinky's fine, because your pinky can comfortably press 2 characters decently well, unless you have like really small hands. But your thumb is the real limiting factor here, because your thumb can only comfortably press 1 button. That's what I'm saying.
The only thing I've seen or thought of is they make those like, I don't even know, it's like a keyboard mouse hybrid, like those big chunky multi-keyed.
Yeah, I've seen those too.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and I'm just so used to like playing it this way. I was just curious what your thoughts were on it, or if you think it's like
Yeah.
objectively bad.
I do think it's objectively bad just because it's the thumb limitations, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Um, but I also don't think it's like a big issue. It's like
Okay.
saying, hey, hitting your knee with a very like with a 5 pound dumbbell every morning is probably like not the best thing in the world for you, but I doubt it matters. Like,
Well, we're building character. We're building
yeah,
character, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, exactly. So I don't think it's that big of an issue.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, okay. Engage here, timed well, mines are good, the roll through's good. I
Miss my
act
slam.
well, okay. This one might be more of a you want to play around sleep dart, right? Because this
Yeah.
at this speed, there's a higher chance that you're able to play around it. And what do you think about the shields here? Actually pressing the shields.
I think that I'm at risk of getting sleep darted, so pressing shields preemptively
Sure,
is okay.
works for me. Also, that's a lot of shields, so
That is a lot of
we
shields.
we take it.
And hey, I
And
got sleep.
there's an aid. There's an aid too.
Yep.
Now what I would do here is I actually think the mistake here is what you've seen sleep, you've seen nade. What should you do?
I should have focused the Ana.
For crying out loud, get in there. Like you've
Yeah.
created a massive split. Not even necessarily the Ana. I mean, although that's the obvious answer. Anything, go kill. You know, go kill. You have the HP for it. You need to be utilizing this time when you have your shields active. This was a more significant nerf than I think people realize with ball, because obviously it's like that. Those seconds are crucial, right? And now those
Absolutely.
seconds are wasted. I actually wouldn't do this. All right, hear me out. I wouldn't do
Okay.
this. Hear me out. Now, I know you're down a lot, so you're like, I have to be careful. When she doesn't know, when she's not paying attention, walk up to her and just shoot her in the head.
Dude, no, you're right. I've done that before, and it works a
And then
lot
if
better
she
than.
falls, you could just slam her. You know what I'm saying? Because like,
Yeah.
I promise you, you're gonna get more than 50 damage done.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
I should have honestly, I should have shot her in the head until she noticed me, and then backwards walked off the ledge, slammed, and finished her off.
Right. You would have gotten at least 75, 80 damage from shots, which is gonna, and you save the cooldown too. Yeah. But yeah, I think going for this is fine.
Okay.
At this point, it's just like stage for the next fight. Now you're staged for the next fight. Oh, no. Okay.
I know.
Come from this angle, like you're gonna do like, okay, what would you do? What would you do? What would you do? What would you do from this position? What do you think is a good engage? Time's good.
Going
What do you do?
the opposite way, going to the right, and either probably teasing out a sleep dart
Sure.
or hinder or something. Basically making them turn around and look at me. Anything.
Sure. Just
Yeah.
This is where you do your fireball, like roll through like a million miles per hour. Zoom, right? Then go
Yeah.
right here, shoot a little bit, bait, shoot a little bit, bait, your next grapple. Okay, maybe go for a grapple slam with your shield, something like that, Make the hinder hard to hit, come in from an angle, access the backline faster, give them less time to react. This is too easy, right? It's too easy for them to see, right? It's too easy for them to see. And then obviously you kind of mess that one up here. So it's like the idea of going for the backline is fine, but the way that you could have set that up could have been so much more fluid, right? If that makes any sense.
Absolutely, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, our Genji pops off.
That was such a weird slam. I knew what you're trying to do, but like, look at how low you are to the floor when it actually goes off.
It happens like that sometimes if I try to slam, like, because I'm going under it and it pushes me down as I'm slamming.
Yeah, this frame here, yeah.
Yep.
That's a good catch. Okay. But honestly, your mechanics aren't even that bad. Like, I don't think this does not scream plat mechanics to me.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Because honestly, I feel like my mechanics are like gold plat.
Well, by mechanics, I mean your movement, your grapple usage, the way that you're going in and out. Like, I don't know about specifically your aim, but like that's only one aspect of mechanics. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, no, my aim is absolute dog shit. And I think, yeah, a lot of that's practice, but also like, okay, back to the left-handed thing. The reason why it matters in this case is because I have to find okay, first off, they don't make left-handed mice anymore. Left-handed like FPS mice. They have the freaking
Really?
20, yeah, they have the 20 button MMO mouse. But like after COVID, like with the electronic chip shortage, since then, my left-handed mouse that I would buy one of these maybe once every 3 to 4 years they would last. And in the last year, I've gone through 3 mice.
Wow,
So,
that's
yeah,
terrible.
so trying to adjust and, like, the DPI is technically the same, the sense is technically the same, but it still feels different
Yeah,
on
yeah, the
everyone.
weight, the feel, yeah, makes sense.
Exactly. So, like, trying to come up with consistent aim, because there have been times when the stars do align. I can have really good tracking on ball. And I notice when I am missing shots, it's my tracking is off. Like it's not calibrated. It looks like I'm not well, no, I take that back. Sometimes it looks like I'm not calibrated. Sometimes my aim is literally all over the
Sure,
place dog
sure,
shit.
sure. But sticking with the good, the bad, the ugly, right? Not the ugly aim. What's the bad here?
You mean in this gameplay right now, or me
In
talking
this
about aim?
freeze frame right here.
What's bad is that I am in ball mode versus a life. No, that I'm versus a life weaver, and I have my shields up.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
That's it. Right. You need to react to this here, and you're staging for backline. I get it. It's fine. Whatever. But you run into a solo life weaver, and your first response is to press your 15-second cooldown.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
Yeah,
come on.
that's bad.
Because like right here, shields. Right.
Yep.
Right here, shields.
And now it'd be useful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and even then, it wouldn't have been useful.
Well, I mean, at the very least here, there would have been logic behind it. It would have been in a reasonable circumstance, I could get hindered here. I could get slapped. There's a risk of that actually going in. And then even like here, like you're setting up here, but you press your shields, I guess, and bail. But the way that you press your shields, I thought for sure you're gonna roll right through them.
Do I not?
No. Look. You go off to the right. You kind of see what I'm saying? So if you were to go, if you were to go for the slam here, remember every second counts, right? So shields here, right? Full second and a half in your bank right there. By the way, I love this little angle that you got here, where it's like you could like bait so much attention. And you just duck behind cover. I like the focus on the Sombra. There's the hinder. Yeah, I mean, I really do think that like you have an idea of what you're doing with this hero. It looks fine. It's just like a lot of the details you're scuffing up. Soul Dynasty. I met a real Soul Dynasty fan in the flesh.
No, I just like the black and gold color scheme.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Goes good with gold guns.
Yeah, I like this. This is well timed. And then obviously you're going to get hacked, so adaptive shields is fine. Obviously don't catch a lot, but the mines are good. Like the mines just allow you to do stuff that you wouldn't otherwise be able to do. You'd be like, I'd melt instantly. Well, maybe.
Well, and sometimes it's like using mines in this rank is different than using it's gonna my team's gonna be okay. Now I can press W since there's mines now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put down the mines so that my team can press W.
And they did. So yeah, works for me.
Exactly.
Now I think this is fine. Staging high. Force them out. Don't overextend here. The reason why this is worthless is because of what's going on behind you.
Well, check out what I'm about to do though, because I think this ends up working out okay.
Okay. Are you gonna impress me? Because my point here is that there's nothing going on. There's no point you creating or holding space here at all, right? If anything here, you should just set up like probably the left side and then just wait for the fight to start, right?
I want all the space though. I want to hold them in the spawn though, coach.
Yeah, I get you.
Right? I'm a ball. See, this is what I want to do.
This is so much greed. This is so much greed.
Oh,
if they hit one sleep dart on you or one hack, like I swear, you just don't even care.
Oh, but it's yummy though. I love this. Okay,
now,
and then I get out.
But I will say that look at when you get out. You get out actually when the fight actually starts. Like this fight is actually like going now and you're already out. I will say that. Also, if you'd been paying attention to setting up and staging and looking at where your team was positioned, you would have seen something very important.
My Ana getting picked or what?
Transcater.
Oh. You're right. Absolutely. That's why even though I got a bunch of ult charge and that felt really good, it's still like not the play to make.
I mean, it's put it this way. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that you didn't get good value. Of course you got good value, but you didn't get good value when it mattered the most, when there was actual follow-up from your team. And so then you're having to disengage at the moment that the enemy team actually pushes out because you threw all your eggs into one basket. The basket being the fight hasn't even started yet. I'm slamming, and you're like, I'm doing so much, but I want you to look at this from like, I don't know, like look at your Cassie's perspective, right? Like he's my ball is doing so much. My ball is doing so much. My ball doing so much. Okay, now I need my ball. Where's my ball? My ball's out. You see this?
Absolutely.
Like, somebody has to push card here, you know? Somebody has to do this here. And, like, even if half of your team had pushed up with you, I still don't know if you secured more kills than you did. In fact, the only kill that you got was the Sombra who messed up her Transgator.
Exactly.
That's the only kill that you got from all that.
Well, but hold on a second. So enlighten me. I don't necessarily have to get kills, though, to get value. But you're talking about kills and me not getting kills.
Wow.
So why have we crossed the line of, like, okay, I can just push them and I can create space without getting kills?
Your job as a tank is
getting kills here.
Your job is to put out pressure, correct?
Right.
Okay. Does the pressure right now matter? Is there a fight happening that your team can follow up off of right now?
I know the answer is no, but I still think it's yes, because I'm still keeping all of that space for my team to be able to just push the cart for free.
So you're willing to, but the problem is that you're pushing cart for free, okay? But would the enemy team stop you from pushing cart right now?
I mean, the Sombra might, right? I mean, probably not.
No,
probably not.
When is the fight actually going to start here? You tell me. Like, if you had not gone in there, when would they have actually started to push out and punish you?
About
Keep in mind,
now.
Sigma is still coming back from spawn, by the way.
Oh, well, then when does... I mean, yeah, I mean, if I was on the enemy team and there wasn't a ball in my spawn, I would be trying to take the fight for the card at the first or second corner.
Right about here, right?
Yeah,
right
well,
here.
like, now at the latest. I would try for the first corner first.
With your Sigma and spawn?
I mean, I would.
Yeah,
because I'd want to hold that first corner.
I know. But you have to understand, the space that you can hold is usually dependent on whether you actually have 5 people, right? You have to fight. The rules of the team fight matter. If they had walked out and tried to hold space now, they would have died, and they never would have had a fight as 5. Never would have happened.
So you'd give up a corner and go back a corner to make sure it's a 5v5 rather than trying to be a cheeky 4v5.
I would. I don't see the advantage of holding this first corner. The advantage of this whole first corner aren't big enough for me to hold to give it up, or for me to want to hold it. Excuse me. Right now, there's some exceptions to that rule, but not. They're so niche that it's not even worth bringing up. Right now,
I'm not talking about a full-on engage. I'm talking about, like, trying to put on enough poke pressure so that they don't want to push up to the next corner.
I mean, sure, they could, if they want to peek here, sure.
Okay.
But even if you were to go in now, you've already used cooldowns at this point in time. You've already used your adaptive shields. You've already slammed in, right? If you were to engage now, even then it would make more sense. But you're not even engaging now. You're on the way out.
Yeah.
So it's a minor detail. But it's not really a minor detail. It's actually a pretty important thing, because it's something that's going to impact everything that you do as well, always. You're very reliant off of your team follow-up. Creating space and creating pressure when your team isn't doing anything is usually meaningless. If you go back to when you actually use your mines here, right? The reason this mines was good was because your team then capitalized off of it and walked forward immediately.
Right.
If your team had even been, let's say 5 seconds earlier, like here, these mines would have been kind of not great, right? Because does your team need the help right now? No, there's no damage here at all, right? They're just walking, right? So then look at when the mines actually go off. Now we need help to get out of this choke. We're stuck. The mines are popped. Watch the little blue and red circles, right? We could even go to, like, we could just look at it from, I'm trying to find like a good frame here. We could look at it from just here, right? You don't even need to see the map. Look at the red and blue. You see?
The red moves forward.
The red moves forward once they've actually engaged in combat, and that would not have happened without mines. So the funny thing is that you kill 2 people off of the mines that don't even hit the mines. And so then if we look at this here from this perspective here, okay? Look at this. So if we go back right here, this right here. Pressure, 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 cooldowns, pressure, space, pressure, cooldown, space. Your team is trying to help you, but it's not as 5. You see, your team is being good. They are trying to help you, even though you're pushing beyond their means. You see what I'm saying? You see what your Genji and Lucio are doing? Heck, even your Ana. They're trying.
Yeah, even my poor Ana is doing everything she can to keep me up, and I'm not respecting her at all, and ultimately she dies because of me.
Right. Because then now is when we need you in. We need you in. But they've already had to back out because they almost died trying to help you. So then when we need to be going in, we're pretty much out. We get a little grapple on the Ana, and that's about it. Now, hindsighty here, they had EMP, they had Tree, they had Nano, they had Flux. I don't think you win this fight regardless of what you do, to be honest with you. But that's not the point. I don't care what would have won this fight. I'm cared about like overall habits that maybe we're not thinking about enough.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, it's fine if you lose the fight and you did everything right.
Correct, because overwhelmingly, that's going to win you games over time. And then even here, like right now, there is no reason for you to be doing anything right now. Lucio dies, unlucky, wait. Just wait. What's the point?
I'm really bad about, well, my mentality here is I'm distracting their supports, I'm creating pressure on their back line so they're not able to do like a full, like they're trying to put pressure on us so we can't reset, but as a ball I'm not letting them even do that to us. I'm like, yeah, I'm basically smooth braining, thinking, oh, putting support on their, or putting pressure on their support is good.
Right. It's opportunity cost. You can do it now, but at what cost? Are you going to lose HP? Are you going to get, slept and killed, hindered? Are you going to get your cooldowns forced, and then your team's going to need your pressure? And then are you going to get forced out from this flank? Because, there's not a lot, let's not kid ourselves, there's not a lot of flank space back here, right? So if you get scouted and forced out, then you're kind of in a bad spot for the next fight. So let's see. Didn't get slapped. Didn't get slapped. But, so now your team is ready to engage, but what's the problem? Everything's gotten fine, you didn't get punished, right? Well, no, you did get punished, because look at where you are positioned.
I am not set up behind them. I am engaging front line, and I'm not a Reinhardt.
Right. You spent resources, you got ult charge, you fed ult charge, but all that being said is that you are not positioned on the back line anymore. So it wasn't free.
Got it.
Now this is all fine. Like, this is well timed, this is good. Good minds, obviously. But, little things like that. And that was best case scenario, right? Imagine if that Ana hits a sleep dart.
Right, yeah,
Imagine if that Cassidy hinders you, which is going to happen 50, 60, 70% of the time, and then we get an entirely different story. So,
especially if I'm going to climb into Diamond, it's going to happen more there.
Correct. That's going to, at some point you're going to hit a peak where you're going to be getting punished 50% of the time, and that's going to be your limit of how high you can climb until you break the habit. Okay, so what's the good? You tell me.
Of my ball play?
Sure.
The good. My ball play is I have a pretty good mechanical understanding of the hero. I know when to use cooldowns and mines, other than the bad habit with my adaptive shields.
Yeah. Yep.
And target priority is fine when I respect staging.
Yes, usually fine. There was that one ugly Sigma. The Sigma event of 1993, went on second point. On second point. But yeah, for the most part, I agree. It feels like you know how to play ball, but what's the bad?
I don't, even though I know how to play ball, I don't always employ that knowledge because I don't stage. I don't have clean disengages, and I don't have clean engages.
Work on timing your engages, disengages around your team's positioning. Work at that adaptive shield habit. Those are the two mains. Okay. We have about 10 minutes. Do you want to look at more ball? Do you want to look at some Ryan? Do you want to look at some Zarya?
Let's do Ryan.
Okay.
I think Ryan would be good. Would you say that Ryan is kind of generally like if you think about a tank in Overwatch, he is like the main tank, and if you're playing Ryan, you're gonna have like arguably you have to have like the greatest macro understanding of the game to be able to play him well.
I wouldn't say that. I'd say that's probably more Winston.
Okay.
But yeah, I think Reinhardt does take a lot of the macro understanding. So for you, it's like, okay, so really, the more I've come to coach Reinhardt, the more I've realized how absurdly simple he is. Not
Right.
easy, but there's not a lot you have to think about. You just need to be doing it perfectly every time, if that makes any sense. What
Yes.
Reinhardt wants to do is he wants to hit people with his hammer.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
So for you, is it finding what are the best people's two hits with my hammer, and then where is the important space for my team to hold? Because you could drop here and hold choke, right? That would
I
stop the
could.
card. You could hit
Yep.
supports with your hammer, maybe. But what would be the problem with that? What would you lose by giving up this position right here?
My life.
Well, maybe
Well, the high ground.
the high ground, right? So then what that means is that Diva or Sojourn might take this position and threaten your Kiriko or threaten your Mei or and take this off angle and
Yeah.
shoot you, right? So you need to find the balance between this position important. I plant here, nobody take this position, and I need to hit people with my hammer. You need
It's
to find the balance
interesting that
between those two.
you bring that up. Go ahead and let's see what happens 5 seconds from now.
And you're going to drop. But my point is that it's not always bad to drop. You need to understand the risk versus reward here.
Now I get nervous.
At some point, you need to drop. This is fine. I don't even think this is necessarily bad. Just as long as you make sure that this Diva gets no help. Because if you're dropping, what's the purpose of dropping? You're either
create
holding a
space.
space or you're hitting people with your hammer.
Yes.
You're creating, there's either passive pressure through I am in a position, therefore I'm preventing you from getting that position, therefore you are doing less pressure, correct?
Right. Yep.
Or there is active or direct pressure where I am actively swinging on you with my hammer and preventing you from walking forward. So right now, what's your play?
Well, I was going to. Well, I don't remember because like I'm kind of glitched in between the payload and the car, and I was preoccupied with that for like the next 5 seconds.
But
So
what
like I
should
don't
you
remember.
do? More of like a theory.
Um, I think either hold that corner up there, maybe swing. No, I should like if Anna doesn't have sleep dart, then I should just walk forward.
Yep. Yep. And even if she does, you don't necessarily have to force the walk forward, but you need to make sure that just because this Diva takes high ground doesn't mean that these guys get to do what they want. Keep them back. When it comes to holding space, this Sojourn, she should not be allowed to peek safely. Anna should be scared to peek. Lifeweaver can't walk forward. Hold space. Walk forward. And it's not necessary, and this is where we devolve even further, because you have the direct pressure of I can swing my hammer. There is the indirect pressure to where the enemy team doesn't want to walk to where you can swing your hammer, so they're forced to sit in the choke, and then you win the fight off of that.
Got it.
Okay, so yeah, walk forward. Obviously glitched, whatever, but yeah.
2 HP.
Missed the HP trade, yeah, 2 HP. Now the nice thing about Ryan is that the reason we talk about squishies with your hammer is because they're the most lethal, and that's where you're going to do the most damage. But really, you can win any tank trade if you hit your hammer. I don't care if it's a Ramacha, I don't care if it's Zarya or Roadhog. You hit people with your hammer, you're going to win.
Ryan is the king of brawl.
The Ryan is the king of brawl, right. The reason Ram provides more value sometimes is just because Ram also has a little bit of poke, too, that he can leverage. But if you're able to get onto people with full HP with your hammer, you're going to win. So for you here, it's like, unfortunately, through getting glitched or whatever, you give the high ground, and then you don't get a lot of hammer value out of it. Now, I don't know that the answer here was necessarily to drop or to hold. I really don't. I think definitely holding this choke here would have been good. But you saw the problem with you dropping here is that you ended up getting shot in the back from the position that you just gave up.
Right.
You see that?
Right.
So maybe here it's like it's actually better to not drop. Let them push cart, make them take high ground, and then play the choke here to where there is no off angle that you have to worry about. I don't know. It's always that balance between, is there a position that I need to hold, or is there a position that I need to be hitting with my hammer? For example, right now, you're walking forward. Is this corner really important for you to hold as a Reinhardt? Do you
No,
need the,
but it
do you
was
need
like
this
a
space?
staging corner for
Sure,
me for
sure,
my team.
sure. But you
Yeah.
don't really care if the enemy team, quote unquote, if you leave this position. Who cares, right?
Right.
So
Right.
go. As long as your team is with you, let's go walk forward and push. Now, I will say, similarly to the ball situation here, this is not great. What you're doing is fine. When you're doing it is not. You kind of need to wait here a little bit longer if you can. You see your May?
Yeah, but that's something I guess I really need to work on because I see the payload inching closer and closer and closer, and it's like I don't want to give up any more space.
But who cares? Do you care if their Ana is here or if their Ana is here? Does it matter to you?
Yeah, because then she's closer to capping the payload, and it's scary.
Fair enough. But are you, for example, if you lose this fight right now, are you going to get a second fight on first point?
No.
No. So it doesn't matter where you take the fight. Take the fight as 5.
You're right. Yeah, that's a good point.
If you fight
I didn't even
here,
realize that I was like, I'm losing like a mental game that I didn't even know I was playing.
Right,
Like, there's no reason for me to be scared like
a
that.
miss is as good as a mile here, right? One fight. It doesn't really matter very much. If you took a fight on this choke, yeah, I wouldn't let them push payload any further because if you hold the fight at this choke, you can get every contest, right?
Right.
But beyond that, you're cooked here. Like, it's already too late now. So you might as well take the fight as 5 here. You might as well take the fight as 5.
Yeah.
You gain nothing by doing this right now. Go get her. I think you lost her.
I get really lost right
It's
here.
okay. It's super chaotic, but like remember, like the fight is completely chaotic, but that means that you were totally free to just pick a target and kill it.
I literally was I couldn't find a target until there we go.
There you go. That's all right.
And it keeps happening. I think I get
Small
lost again.
detail
I can't find a
too.
target.
Micro detail. So don't ignore Lifeweaver when he does this. I see a lot of Ryans doing this. Watch this. When Lifeweaver lifts, obviously you threw. Okay. So 2 little details. First off, don't throw Fire Strike when Lifeweaver has his pedal platform, because you're going to notice something. Do you see it? Where's your Fire Strike going now? If you had it.
To the top of guaranteed hit because he has to stay on that pedal.
And it goes right through the pedal platform too.
Right. Yeah. There's other things that go through the platform.
Yeah, it goes right through it. So it'll damage the platform for a big chunk. It will hit the Lifeweaver and it will hit the Sojourn. Like, I cannot tell you how free this is. And so you get 100 damage chip. They'll either drop, or if any follow-up damage comes through, they're gonna die. And honestly, you have another Fire Strike right now too. Imagine if you had 2, right? They're cooked. Fire Strike is the pedal platform, quote unquote, counter if you have it. So so look for it if you see it. And you're gonna see more Lifeweaver, obviously, because the hero is not total trash tier anymore. And also I think the spread buff they gave him yesterday could be like really significant. Did you see what they did to him?
I heard about it, but what exactly happened?
The first 20 bullets he has no spread.
And it wasn't like that before?
It wasn't like that before, which means that significantly boosts his range threat. Like, he can do a lot of, like, his up close damage is actually pretty good after the buff, but the spread was terrible. Now the spread is like no longer a factor for the first 20 bullets.
So now it's like he's kind of like has the Ramatra effect, where he's not a hit scan or even like a DPS hero, but he can pressure on snipers.
Which is good because that was by far his weakest matchup. He was worthless in those matchups. Now you know what you should be doing here as well, right? Micro Fire Strike. Where does it go?
Oh, well, the pedal?
Yeah, there it is. Throw out the pedal right there, and you got a Genji. This guy dies immediately. See it? There's your missed opportunity.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's a cute little micro thing, but it's like one of those micro things that, like, you're gonna, anytime you see a Lifeweaver, it's gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
It's not like it's gonna happen. I mean, we've already had 1 fight, and it's happened. We've seen 2 opportunities already, so it's gonna happen fairly frequently.
Exactly.
Now, fight's kind of starting here. You could hold the choke here, but there's nothing. But hang on, there's nothing really happening right now. So, I'm okay. Hit people with hammer. Hit people with hammer. I get it. These Fire Strikes are atrocious, though.
Yeah. I basically just use it on cooldown.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to use it basically on cooldown most of the time, but I think your mechanics are better than you're giving us right here. I think you're losing some focus. I think you're just kind of
I,
mashing the
I
cooldown.
agree. I can hit, like, I don't think I do it in this game, but like it's not uncommon for me to be able to hit a Pharah with my
Sure.
Fire Strike.
Sure. Like that right there. Like what is this? Like what is this? She's
See,
not
and
only
that,
dead, but you hit the broadside of the wall.
I know, and I think that's a calibrate because like I did it twice,
Yeah.
and that's just me not being calibrated. I don't know.
Right. Big takeaway is going to be just chill with the fire strikes a little bit more. You know, like just like really turn on your brain. It's an important ability. So like you go here, you see Diva Matrix, just don't. Just pin on card or do whatever you want to do. And by the way, also this is a situation where you absolutely should be pinning on card because they've already got cap, but your team is fighting on card. Go help them. You know what I'm saying? Like look at
I'm like, nah.
your Genji is doing what you were doing, and you're not willing to help him out like they were willing to help you out.
I didn't even notice. I thought I was just setting up. See, oh, and then I go in.
Then
but
you
then
go in.
nobody's there again.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess they're still there. They're still there. I mean, it's better late than never, right? But all I'm saying is that your Genji is sweating to not let the cart push when he really shouldn't worry that as much about it, right?
Yeah.
But at the but you should go help him if he is going to do that, right? Just like your team was trying to help you, you know. I would just pin out, to be honest. Just pin out. And here is where you can pin out, and where would you go? Because there's nothing you could do right now, so just set up for next fight. Where would you set up?
I mean, at the the corner that I'm already at. I want to hold that corner first, and then fall back to the next corner if I have to.
Right. You need to be careful about holding this corner though right now because you've got 2 people in spawn. Right.
Well,
so,
not only that, and I think I just keep moving back because at this point I remember realizing that they have flyed. Yeah. So
now, if you want to hold a corner or hold a choke, remember how we said that there is a reasonable reason for you to want to drop off of high ground here. It's okay, right? But if in the meantime you can hold that position until you want to hold that choke.
Yeah, and I should have, like, it would have taken me a minute to set up. I should have reset high ground.
That's exactly. Pin out, walk to high. You're waiting on your team anyway. Go sit here, hold your shield, hold the space. Cart gets to a point to where you want to stop it and you want to hit people with your hammer, then you can drop off of high ground and treat it like almost like you're a Winston at that point in time, right? Yeah. Where you're using the high ground to dive, quote unquote, backline. You have a shatter here, right? You could do all sorts of fancy stuff with this. Just jump off Cowabunga, shatter the Zenyatta, right? There's all sorts of cute things that you can do here. But you not only should you be disengaging this fight because your team isn't there, but when your team isn't there, use that downtime to set up so that you can do more next fight. Like this is frankly meaningless, right? Yep. Not only is it a shatter on Diva, but also half of your team isn't even here.
Yep.
So okay, let's stop here. So we've talked about a lot of little things with Ryan. So what are some actionable skills that you can practice?
Better fire strike discipline.
Yeah, fire strike discipline. It's a good way of putting it because I really don't think your mechanics are that bad. Don't just AFK brain. It's very important. Okay, what else?
Love it.
We talked about a lot about theory of space creation and holding. So what are some actionable things that you can do?
Right. Well, pay better attention to when and where I'm holding space relative to just the context of the fight, what's going on in the game at that moment. When is sure the high ground, hold the high ground, but why do we hold the high ground? Why is the high ground important? Is it more important at this moment than in another moment? Like I need to be more wary of the value of space in a given time.
Hold a particular spot or hit hammer.
What? Hit hammer?
I'm muttering to myself like a mad scientist. Gotcha. So what do you think of the way I phrased it there? It's a little bit weird, but
pay attention to when and where I'm holding space. Where's my team? Can I hold high, etc.? Is my team with me? If so, do I hold a particular spot or hit hammer? Which one is more valuable? Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, it's wordy, but that all makes sense. Yes.
Okay. Cool. Makes sense. Now, this is something that you're gonna have to kind of like. This was like the spark notes of all spark notes. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, this ain't gonna be revolutionary to your tank play necessarily, but at least it gives you something to think about. And I do think that the reason why I put a little bit more emphasis on this more than I would an average plat tank is because your coaching situation, right?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Like I think applying yourself to at least be thinking about this more, not just on your Reinhardt, but on your ball too, and for crying out loud, your Zarya too. I think it's going to help you to understand the macro, the basics of the game more, which is going to be very, very important for you.
Exactly.
Like as a coach moving forward. Okay, do you have any questions?
Um, one second. Let me see if I can remember it.
No worries. Take your time.
Oh, yeah. So I mean, being there's considerable overlap in the Venn diagram when it comes to having a bad time in Overwatch, and one side of the Venn diagram having mental health issues, and the other side of the Venn diagram being a ball player. Because you seem to get flame a lot. You flamed a lot in Overwatch, no matter what you do, but especially if you're a ball player.
Yeah.
So, like, I guess my question for you is in competitive, and I kind of have a loose, like, I know I don't need it, but like, how do you balance? I mean, do you just recommend going into comp and turning off chat?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do
Yes.
that.
Yes. It's there's definitely an overlap with ball because you're a non-meta hero.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter even if you play the meta. Like at some point, somebody's gonna call you something. You know what I'm saying? So just I think if especially when you're in a situation right now where you're not exactly working on your shot calling, you're just playing the game just to learn it. It's
Yeah.
pointless. It's pointless.
Okay.
I don't have chat turned on when I play most of the time.
Okay.
Any other
Because
questions?
I try to be really big about like, especially as a coach, coaching a team. It's like use comms, use comms. You know, you need to be calming all
Yeah,
meaningful comms, and so like, yeah, I
but
kind of
it's
have to.
worthless in that situation, right? You're throwing your pearls before
Exactly. Yeah.
swine. So it's I'm one of the most big calm heavy people in the world. When I'm in pugs or like in scrims and such,
Yeah.
um, shot calling all that kind of stuff. But I never do it in ranked. It's pointless.
Huh. Okay.
It's
Good to
probably
know.
more beneficial in higher ranks because there ironically is a little bit less toxicity in higher ranks. People just learn to not give a care. And you can at least
Exactly.
listen. And what I would do is I would join, and I used to do this. I didn't join voice till like grandmaster, and I would just leave if things got toxic. But like in mid to low ranks, the comm quality is like significantly lower, and people are more likely to be like more toxic. So
Right.
more risk, less reward. Pretty easy calculation.
Makes sense. Yep. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's all I got.
All right, mate. We'll keep